Hey YouTube, it's Marita, and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. And in this edition, we are going to talk about, address the comments that you all thought you could leave from me and that I wouldn't come for you. So if you want to see me addressing the comments to my thoughts on the Million Nurse March, stay tuned. Registered nurse here, nurse for almost 18 years, and I want to address the simpletons in these comments. So first and foremost, this video is a follow-up video for my thoughts on the Million Nurse March. They have now since changed their name, but again, my thoughts on the Million Nurse March. It is called now the National Nurses March. So with that being said, we're going to address these comments, and there are several. So this may be a video in parts 1, 2, 3, and so forth, because I'm going to address every last one of these comments. And with that being said, let me start off with a disclaimer. First and foremost, you cannot teach sense to the senseless. And many of you demonstrated that in the comments. You have no sense. Also, let's not confuse education with intellect, because you lack that as well. And something else I would like to say is, you're either for or against racism. There is nothing in the middle. If you watch the video, it said my thoughts, which I'm entitled to that. My thoughts, my opinions, I'm entitled to that. Just like you're entitled to yours. But the one thing that you all lack is decorum when you think you can come talk to somebody about something that you're passionate about and don't think I'm going to come back for you. That's the problem. Now, I will say this. As I said before, I'm going to address the comments. The white supremacists that are in the comments who are also nurses, I'm going to expose you. Because what you all don't realize is when it comes to people of the BIPOC community, when there are people, and in this case, nurses, who represent racism in nursing, and you want to tell me that you are okay with it because it was not on the original agenda, which is on there now, simpletons, because you're foolish and gullible. I have an issue with that. If you honestly think that us celebrating or marching on a day of a racist, and you think people of the BIPOC community should join you in your plight for these issues, and you want to say, oh, well, that's not the issue and that's not what we're talking about today. Well, when are we going to talk about it? You are either part of the problem or part of the solution. And if you're going to have your little march, and I said little march, go ahead. No one said that you couldn't go. Y'all act like I said that you couldn't go to the march. I told you my thoughts, and I don't care what you do. And since many of you lack the ability to think, and you have no sense, no intellect, you have no morals, no values, you don't understand the people of you who are anything other than minority, who support white supremacy. That is what you are, a racist. And I'm going to call you out because that's what you are. Because if you were not one, you would not align yourself with something along those lines. And you wouldn't have the hate that you have in these comments that you have when it comes to racism. So they always say a hit dog will holler. That's you. Now, those for the people in the BIPOC community who also think that racism shouldn't be brought up and things like that, you don't even know where you come from. You are the reason why Harriet Tubman said she would free more slaves if they had known that they were slaves. She was talking about you. If you're part of the BIPOC community and you're aligning yourself with this notion of everything's important but racism, don't you ever come and say anything, because it will happen, when you are discriminated against because of, or something happens as a result of your race. When you can't get that job, it's because of what you look like. When they pass over you for that position, it's because of your race. Don't say nothing about that, because that's what you signed up for. You wanted to sit alongside or unify with someone, with a group of people who don't have your best interest, who could care less about your best interest, because that is all of our interest. And if you don't understand BIPOC and white supremacists, which you would never understand in the first place, that for you to not care about racism and how it impacts BIPOC nurses, you don't care about the patients that it impacts as well, because BIPOC patients will be greatly affected as a result of that. Again, you made it through nursing school because you were smart enough to pass a test, but you definitely lack intellect, a moral compass, or anything else when it comes to actually humanity. And so, with that being said, you all are so gullible, and yes, I'm going to call you stupid, that you all didn't even do your research when it comes to this movement that you all are trying to be a part of. And in this movement, it was found out that the original creator of this movement was a black woman. She solicited for help because it got too big. The person who helped her, who she reached out to, ended up taking it over and kicking her out. Now, you may say, whose fault is that? That's the point exactly. So what you are all trying to support was done fraudulently. Again, we can't be united when the people within who's creating the march is shutting people out. The own creator of the march, the person's vision was shut out because of the person that she solicited help. That is what white supremacists do. That's what y'all do. You take somebody else's idea and you run with it. Luckily, they severed ties within their group, and this so-called person is going to I guess form her own or whatever. And then the original creator has now taken back over her group. The name has changed several times because of the fact that Million Nurse March, well, you can't have that for obvious reasons. United Nurse March was already copyrighted, so now I believe it is the National Nurse March or something along those lines. If I'm wrong, I will put it across here. Now, with that being said, I want you to watch this video and let me know. No, actually, I don't want you to let me know what you think. Just watch the video, because you need to see, again, the dirty truth behind this march that you all want to go to, which is fine if y'all want to go to it.
What up, Nurse Gang? What up, TikTok? So today I want to talk about what's going on with the United Nurse March, aka Million Nurse March. The plot thickens. This march was started and founded by a black woman, an RN from Alabama, Veronica Marshall. This was all her idea. As you guys know, I made a post about her, denouncing her in this march when she went on live and denounced Black Lives Matter. It didn't sit right with me. I just knew something wasn't right. As I went and I scoured the page and I see that this woman, Sandra Rizzoldi, was now like the face of this movement, calling all the shots. Something didn't sit right with me. Come to find out, this woman was asked by Veronica to come in and just help because she needs help. This thing has got big. She needs help organizing it. This woman is part of a nonprofit organization called Nurses Against Violence. She took over the movement, bulldozed Veronica out of her own group. She forced Veronica to go on live and denounce Black Lives Matter, saying that people are not going to support and it looks bad. People think you're funneling money to Black Lives Matter, etc. Only for her to attach her PayPal to the group so people can send her donations and money. She has stated that she is currently out of work and that she needs the funds. She's waiting to be credentialed. When Veronica asked her to remove her PayPal from the group, this is what happened. Veronica said, I created and founded the group. Sandra says, I'm a co-organizer. This isn't just about Veronica. This is a partnership. Veronica says, it's about nurses. Sandra says, exactly, it's about Nurses Against Violence. I'm not taking it off. And she says, it's not. In general, yes, it is. So she wants to plug her own nonprofit organization, threaten and bulldoze and take over Veronica's idea for her own personal gain. That is what's going on behind the scenes of this Million Nurse March. And her threats continued to Veronica. She said, I've been doing a whole lot and I can make this smaller. She's continued to threaten Veronica. It also was a problem that Sandra brought in the nurse Jess of the last pizza party, who immediately started selling shirts for money. She has merchandise and they're 6 days in. They're not about about nurses. They just wanted to get paid. Sad.
With all that being said, you still want to support something that its whole foundation was still built on fraud and getting over on people. That's what y'all want to do. And y'all are so gullible, so ignorant, that you think that someone with sense wants to stand beside you. But this is not the first time that there's been a march on safe staffing ratios. And here in 2022, we're doing it again. You're going to get your limelight. You'll get your attention for sure. You'll get your attention. But we have been marching on DC collectively as nurses for years. You all want to fall for anything because you don't want to do your own research, which shows how ignorant you are and how gullible you are. But I digress. Again, you're free to do whatever you want to do. You really are free to do whatever you want to do. But what I do want to do is, like I said, I'm going to go through these comments. And these comments are some of them downright hateful. And if you have to be hateful when you leave a comment for somebody, that tells me about your character. And unfortunately, that tells me that, you know what, if you're treating someone that you don't know, a fellow nurse that you don't know, how are you treating patients who look like me? And I want patients, I want the people out here in the world to see you all for what you really are. So when they sit there and think that we're the most trusted profession because a Gallup poll says we are, but we can't even trust each other in the field of nursing because you are racist and or a supporter of such, keep in mind, when you remain silent, you're just as guilty. You're either for it or against it. And if you don't understand the fact that no one thought that the legislative will have a say-so about racism, that's not the issue. The same way they won't have a say-so or say anything about anything else that you all are going up there for. They could care less. But the point was, if we're going to have dialogue, let's have dialogue. Let's create change. But you don't want to create change. You want to create division. I'm not creating division. You are, by the fact that you want to bring up the fact that this is not on the agenda, or it wasn't. It is now. It is now. Let me tell y'all something. One more thing before I get into these comments. You come here one more time thinking you can say what you want to say and you won't get this back. Believe me, I will find out where you work. Well, you know what? You'll figure it out because I don't play that. You won't come here and threaten me. You won't come here and silence me. What you can do is be respectful and let's have creative dialogue. We can agree to disagree, but what you won't do is talk about something that you don't know. And then when somebody who has more intelligence than you come say and have did their research, because you like to do that, you fail to do that, come and tell you what's really going on, then you have an issue. So for you Uncle Toms, people in the BIPOC community, who align with the fact that you want to celebrate or do something that's against your best interest, that is fine. That is fine. Just don't say nothing when you're discriminated against or you play these. You can't play that race card then when it don't happen your way, when y'all go back to work. Y'all want to take this one day and show out as if when you go back to work, your issues supposed to don't be there. As if your issues still won't be there when you return to work. There's no need of calling that race card at that point in time because you aligned yourself with your enemies, okay? And you really think they support you and care anything about you? You're foolish. Again, Harriet Tubman was talking to you. So, with that being said, Mandy says, oh my gosh, this is not about race. You know Mandy's white, just by the way. If you don't want to go or participate, go change your bullying in hospitals or start your own movement. Well, Mandy, racism is a white person's issue, not mine. So, Mandy, what you need to do, Mandy, need to do is we see who you are. This has everything to do with race and beyond. Because, Mandy, you are so ignorant that you don't understand that if you want people to stand alongside you, let's address all the issues, you are part of the problem because you must be a white supremacist. If you wanted to have solidarity, if you wanted to have unity, then you would align with what everybody wants to do, not just your agenda, Mandy. Also, I don't have to start my own movement, Mandy. You know why? Because racism is not something I need to fix. It's your kind that needs to fix it, Mandy. I'm actually going to post this so people can see, Mandy, who you are. And when they see who you are, if I can find out where you work, we're going to go ahead and have that discussion there because I don't play those kind of games, Mandy. Nobody is bullying but you. And this is one of the things that you all wanted to put on the agenda was bullying, nurse bullying, right? Here you go. It's up here so they can see with your picture. So you can see that you're part of the problem. Again, like I said, don't come for nobody that you're not ready to handle what comes back, the wrath. You can't handle the wrath. Mandy, I hope you have the day that you deserve. Okay? Now, either you're going to be a part of the solution or a part of the problem. You have already aligned yourself with the problem, and guess what? Well, funny thing about life is it's something called karma. And again, karma doesn't always come for you, Mandy. Sometimes it comes for your descendants. Mandy. Be mindful of that, Mandy. Don't play about me and don't play about mine. You don't know who you just come for, okay? You have a good day, Mandy. Now, the next one. Let's see. This person named Raw Alexandria says, I'm fully black, no chaser. I'm not here for the date. However, I'm staying with my nurse brothers and sisters. The pay cap will affect travel nurses and full-time nurses. Well, Raw, stand with your brothers and sisters, but they don't stand with you. Again, like I said, when it comes to y'all's ignorance, okay? You want to stand for everything. You must be an Uncle Tom. You don't know where you come from. And again, they will not align themselves with you. Okay? They won't. As a response to that, someone named Aim for Him says, I wish they would change the date. It should be sooner to reflect the issue at hand and not to be about a celebration of Florence, but a targeted march for cause. The organizer does not address many of the issues addressed in the video or on her website. The website actually calls it United Nurses March, which, like I said, has been changed since then. I believe the general public is assigning the Million Nurse March moniker. Actually, that's not true. That was the name that the original nurse gave it, the one who created gave it. Again, when y'all come on here, speak with some facts, have some proof. She named it that, but the thing is, it got changed there shortly after because of the fact of the connotation that it gave. But anyway, it's been changed now to another name. I think the name should reflect the issue so Americans know why we are marching. For example, nurses march on Washington for... Okay, no, that's actually a good suggestion. Nurses just march on Washington for... By having the march over 3 days, they could and should schedule breakout sessions to cover all the important issues, including racism, violence, safety ratios, bullying, etc. Okay, good. To better educate all nurses on how to implement meaningful and positive change to our profession. If we take the attitude of doing nothing, then we can expect in exchange. Then our voices cease to make progress. Perhaps the answer is to contact the organizer of the march and share suggestions, or better yet, either join her for her panel organizations for the whole nursing population. Anyway, the person continues to go on for a while and basically saying that, it should still be done. However, there's, a better way to do it. I can agree with that. The thing is, what you all simply doesn't understand. I never said I was against the march. The march itself is the issue. I was for it until I found out the date that it was on. And again, simpletons, if you honestly think that you want to name a march or do a march on the date of someone who is a known bigot and racist, if you don't know that and you don't care to know that, then that's you. But why do you honestly think, your history is whitewashed the way it is? Everything in your history has to do with what somebody else told, another story somebody else told. And you want to not know your history and align with it, but that's fine. Again, you do you. So with that being said, a lot of you want to continue with that narrative. Let's continue with the next one. Tammy Feeney says, I'm sorry, but every single nurse should support the Million Nurse March. Again, these comments were made before the name change. It is to support these 3 tenets: violence, capping nurse pay, and fair compensation, legislation on safe patient ratios and centers of care. Tammy, they've already done a march on those things. The capping nurse pay, that's something new. But the violence and the legislation of standards of care, patient staff ratios have already been done, and we're back here again in 2022 with the same issue. So again, tell me again how marching has helped with that, because we still have the same issues back from when I became a nurse back in 2004. People before me had the same issues. So again, Tammy Feeney, I'm not going to support something that doesn't support me. And if you don't understand that, you are part of the problem, Tammy Feeney. Next one, Lisa Waller. I can certainly empathize if FN, Florence Nightingale, was indeed biased. That sucks. Then she says, however. That said, even as Caucasian women, my families both came here in the early 1600s. Anytime somebody has to come in here as Caucasian women and tell me what their plight is and what they, I denounce all that. I don't even want to hear it, right? Because what you all don't understand is, Miss Waller, when it comes to your ancestors and you're now a descendant of such ancestors, you have the ability to make a change, but you choose not to. Period. There is no other way to say it. Either you are for it or you're against it. That's all it is to it. So with that being said, either you're going to stand you're going to be in alignment with it or you're not. Y'all don't have to convince me. I don't care what your history is. I don't care. Because if you are Caucasian, you have the ability. It's your responsibility to make the change, not ours. We didn't cause racism. You caused it. Your ancestors caused it. And either you align with your ancestors or you don't. It's just that simple. There is no gray to it. You need to check your own biases. So anybody who wants to come tell me about their history and I come from this, but yet you still align with the racism, the white supremacy, you are the problem. You're who we're talking about. You're the reason why minorities, BIPOC communities still have issues in nursing to this day. It has not changed. She continues to say, yes, we're female dominated, but so many in our men are professional now in our entire profession. First of all, it's about 90% women, 10% men. Fact check. Now we have patients who don't take responsibility for their own health, expects miracles from us, and demand what we do. All this has nothing to do with the issues at hand. You all like to deflect. She's deflecting here. And still targets poor minority communities. It all sucks, she says. I guess what I'm trying to say is one fight at a time. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, Miss Waller. You said that just like a racist would say it. Oh, so I need to wait. We need to wait till our turn. BIPOC need to wait till our turn to come and deal with this issue. So we need to come fight your fight. We need to help you fight the fight that you want to, because it's on the agenda, because it's more important than race issues that we deal with. That's what you're saying, Miss Waller? Is that what you're saying? One at a time? You are crazy if you honestly think that somebody who is a minority, who you're telling us to wait. That's what you basically said, one at a time. When will we have opportunity to go back to DC to do this again? Okay, we have already been, like I said, to the hill, to DC on some of these issues. We've already been there. And if you don't know that, check your history. This is nothing new. Anyway, what you as nurses need to do is, no, we're not going to wait our turn. And like I said, it's already been changed. So racism is added to the agenda. But if you want us to be unified, how is it okay for us to be unified and divided at the same time? So you want us to pretend like everything's okay when it's not. You don't. So our issues have to wait. Well, we've been waiting for years, Miss Waller. We've been waiting for years, Miss Waller. When do we get a chance to talk about these issues? Well, it's coming up. But my point is, you have basically said what every other white supremacist who wants to hide, even though you're not wearing no hood, which I really don't know that. But anyway, that doesn't mean you don't align with them. If you are silent, you're part of the problem. Like I said, we're not waiting. We're not waiting. And these comments right here let me know how you treat patients of color. Lets me know that. And I want people to see that who are not nurses, to see that you all have these thoughts, that because of the fact that we're minorities as nurses, that we need to wait until it's a better time that you say is better for us to address our issues. That's how ignorant you sound. Anyway, she continues to say, just some thoughts, but thank you so much for addressing all of this. And this is the thing. This is the thing. I responded back. And my thing was this. She was not rude, but she's misinformed. If she's going to tell me we're going to wait and talk about something later, we should wait, this is not the time for it. Well, when is the time? Like I said, Gaming Unite for Life says, first off, the march was suggested by a black nurse in our traveling group. The black nurse started the group it grew within several hours. Several thousand people suggested doing it Nurses Week, which happens to be the last day of her birthday. I don't get y'all. If you don't want to participate, why try to stop others with all your ridiculous assumptions? Who ever stopped anybody Gaming Unite Life? When did I ever say you couldn't do something? When did I ever hold you down and say you can't do a part of this march? See, this right here, you're gaslighting, you're deflecting from the issue. And I also know what happened in that group. Did you also go ahead and put in here, while you're up here putting this in here, that they was deleting the comments of the BIPOC nurses who had issues and wanted to bring up? Did you put that in here? You didn't put that in this little comment right here. See, you all want to pick and choose what you want to share. I already have the screenshots. Gaming Unite Life. If you want change, why don't you be the change fit racism? It's not my job, Gaming Unite Life, to change racism. That's white people's job. White people created racism. Black people did not. Or minorities did not, because it's not just about black people. Minorities did not create racism. White people created racism, so therefore white people need to change the racism. That's not our job to do. This is why y'all are sadly mistaken, because you're deflecting here. You're deflecting from the issues really at hand, okay? And until you have some accountability to know that you're the problem, we will always be in this situation. Anyway, I'll be dang after barely surviving for the last 18 years as a nurse that are going to try and cap what we've earned. At this moment, it's not the white nurses that's the problem. It's y'all bitter black nurses. It's y'all bitter black nurses, and you part of the group that created this. Again, the nurse was part of the traveling group, is what she said. What this person is saying. It's y'all bitter black nurses. It's y'all bitter black nurses. Okay. Anyway, if you honestly think that them white men in Congress give a damn about you and your cap and your money, they don't. Y'all are so ignorant. You have no idea that the real way to get these people's attention is in their wallet. Going and with signs and bouncing around in terms of on whatever, when has that shown to be proven beneficial? Again, you all will fight against your own agenda. So you know what? Mad can't nobody stop what is meant for you but you. No, that's your job. If a job was for you, doesn't matter if you are black, white, Indian, Asian, God would have opened that door. See, this is where y'all people who are religious want to come behind these notions right here. See, I'm going to find out where Gaming Unite Life works. Yeah. And we're going to go ahead and share Gaming Unite's worth thoughts. We're going to share those thoughts. So let their employer know how they feel about black nurses. See, what you don't want to do, Gaming Unite Life, is come to a black person's page and talk about what our problems is, because right here you showing that you're the racist. So have the day that you deserve. I hope you find employment somewhere. Anyway, Lisa Waller calls back, or actually answers back and says, you know nothing of my struggles in life. Nursing is hard. So as I was saying, it's really sad that, you know, you're going to find out that your patients that you care for, your community that you care for, is going to know that you're racist. Okay. Again, you really shouldn't come mess with people who you don't know who you're dealing with. Y'all are some ignorant people. Okay. So anyway, as you all continue to make these posts, you begin to show me that you all really have issues, because again, a hit dog will holler. And people who are smart at least, would keep their mouth shut. But y'all can't do that. Y'all are entertaining at the best. You're quite entertaining. All right. So, you know, what's funny is y'all want to come tell me your long story. I could care less. Because you don't even care that we as minority nurses are being abused every single day when we go to work. You don't care about that. So why would you go through spitting like this? Why would you come through telling me your stories like this? But yet you want me to empathize with your story, but yet you don't want to hear the fact that minority nurses are having issues. You see how hypocritical and selfish that is? That makes you all look really, really bad. All right. So now those are the ones actually responding. And then Lisa continued. Lisa kept on. You know, Lisa says, I'm sorry that you had to deal with discrimination, skin, religion. Sex has no place here. We all have to have empathy and compassion and love for all. She said all these things, but then went in with her long narrative about how this is not the time. You see what I'm saying? That's how you all are being fooled, because people like her want to see who say crazy stuff like that. And Desiree Myrick says, I particularly don't care whose birthday it is. I never thought of Florence Nightingale as some special nurse, just like a celebrity or whatever. Didn't get into nursing because of her. None of us got into nursing because of Florence. Desiree. That was ignorant. I swear, y'all some. Ooh, Lord, help y'all. Anyway, all I know is whatever happens now affects me in my future in nursing. All you know, because you have not did any research. I'm not marching simply because it's my day off. Okay, fine. And I'm night shift and I'm going to be sleeping in my bed under the covers, tucked, tired as heck, but in my warm bed. I would appreciate if they got all the staff ratios and pay issues without me, though. So you're for it. You're not going to march because you worked the night before, which is fine. I myself went through quite a bit of bullying there before I found a good workplace. But on the other hand, a stressful environment causes people to lash out. So she's saying it's because we work in stressful environments that causes the bullying. But the stressful environments do not cause the racism, Desiree. It does not cause racism. Y'all do that all day, every day. Okay? So there's that. She said it creates a trickle-down effect. Okay, lies, Desiree, lies. I said, as I stated in the video, you do whatever you want to do. Whenever people turn a blind eye to racism, again, it tells me who they are. She said, ma'am, it's a bunch of old white men in Congress right now. They're against everything. It doesn't matter. Now that I agree with. And that, me and Desiree agree on that. I agree with her on that. If y'all don't understand, there's a bunch of old white men in Congress who don't give a damn about you as a nurse, especially a white nurse, because most of y'all are white, who are going to this march. Why? Because the population or the demographic of nursing is 76% white. 75, 76, whatever, 74, something like that. Depends on the research you look at. So you think those old white men, as she says, going to listen to y'all white women and the few BIPOC people who are going to go show up there? Because that's all we all have, that and the men, of course. That's all it is. It's either white or BIPOC. That's it. So do you honestly think they care about you? That me and her agree on. Desiree and I agree on that. She said what she's saying is it doesn't matter what people look like coming and banging at their doors matter. It matters to us, but not to them. She's right. Which is why you're proving my point, Desiree. Y'all are proving my point. New people need to be voted into Congress who represent all issues and more open-minded. She is absolutely correct. Now, I didn't agree with her previous statement, but this I agree with. When it's all said and done, we certainly welcome them into nursing homes, and CNAs will love them. Will love taking care of them. Desiree, I happen to like this comment. That part I agree with. I used to say, I tell you, y'all have more to say on issues that don't even apply to y'all, don't even matter. People are suffering because someone who's dead now had a birthday. Everyone has to have a birthday. I can't take it away any more than I can take Christmas away. This has nothing to do with her birthday. The fact that you want to do this march on her birthday, that actually tells us what nursing stands for. Why would you select? And this is the thing. I don't think many people know Florence's history, because in my TikTok, people were stunned, and I mean stunned about her history. I don't think people know about her history. So again, it may have not been intentional, but that's not the point. The point is many of the BIPOC community know the history. And that's what y'all don't realize. We know more stuff than y'all know. We know the history. So why do you think people with sense, because again, you can't educate the sense, you can't put sense in the sense list. Why would you think we would stand for something like that? I said what I said. Why would you think we would stand for something like that? We wouldn't. We wouldn't. With people with sense. People who vote against your own agenda, which some people tend to do. We, as most people who are minorities who are woke, we don't vote against our own agenda. Notice I said who are woke. I did not say anything about all BIPOC community. I said people who are woke do not vote or do anything against their agenda, because they know what the hidden agenda is. Again, we will be just as divided when y'all go back to the floor, no matter what they do about the cap in terms of the money. The money won't even matter because the racism still exists. The bullying still exists. And those ratios that y'all talking about, Okay, if y'all can get that fixed, because y'all been working on this for a while, let's see if that happens for you. Anyway, that Miss Desiree is saying that basically it doesn't make a difference what skin color you are. We still have these issues. Desiree is actually correct. It doesn't, which is why we're not standing for that. Thank you, Desiree, for proving my point. You have a good day. Says, how in God's name? Now, how you gonna bring God into this? Can you being racism? Can you being racism? See, y'all can't even. That's the reason why I'm like, who gave y'all's degrees? Anyway, can you bring in racism into this matter with all that has happened in our profession? Get real. You are the simpleton. That's obvious. Sharon, no, there's nothing simpleton about me. I'm not foolish and gullible like you are. Okay. Don't bring God's name into something that you're one who you think God condones racism. You don't understand because you are not intelligent enough. You lack intellect, and you have demonstrated that. So, I wish you well, Sharon, on the whatever. Again, a hit dog will holler. So we're talking about you, and it is what it is. Ariel Bradford said your comment. Now, Ariel Bradford is commenting to Sharon, mind you. Ariel Bradford says your comment is the prime example of when she states clean our house. Yeah, she was right. So thank you for making this point. BIPOC do have issues at work daily that can hinder our exceptional and unconditional care that we give to our patients. Yes, it does. It seems like you may have never even witnessed this secondhand, which is strange. I encourage you to ask your BIPOC co-workers in order to gain some insight. When we will all figure out how to sit with one accord, meaning we will all sympathize/empathize with each other despite race, gender, age, even seniority. She's right about that. Then we will have a better chance at gaining anything, capital letters, that we are fighting for, wanting for. And she was correct. Again, Sharon, it is your comment that lets us know that you stand against what the issues are. And again, I feel sorry for the patient. So Sharon McGinnis, Sharon McGinnis is a nurse, I'm assuming. And since that person is a nurse, I'm assuming it's a she. If you have been a patient of hers and you happen to be part of the BIPOC community, guess what? She says, how in God's name can you bring racism into this matter? Again, racism is a part of nursing culture. That's how I brought it in there. You see how easy that was? And you denounced it. So since you denounced it, you don't think it's a part of an issue because you think the only issue is about the money. But guess what, Sharon? They're the ones who actually put the agenda together. And with the agenda, they did not stop with capping the pay. They actually introduced other issues in the agenda. So why is it, Sharon, that you're okay with the capping of the pay to be discussed, the bullying to be discussed, the patient ratios to be discussed, but not racism to be discussed? Why is that? Just add another agenda, which they did. So thank you, Ariel Bradford, for saying that, because you know what? Again, some of y'all need to be schooled. You're the problem, Sharon. BIPOC who are woke will not stand alongside y'all. They won't. They won't. Next comment. All right, we're going to continue with a few more, then we'll end this video here and we will pick up in the next video. All right, Nurse Kaya says, thank you for your insight. I desperately needed to be educated properly and will not be attending either. Again, it's not Kaya, Nurse Kayla, I'm sorry. Nurse Kayla says, thank you for your insight. I desperately needed to be educated properly and will not be attending either. Now, again, Nurse Kayla, I appreciate your comment. I'm not telling anybody not to attend, and if you watched the video, you would have heard that. But you know, some of y'all are so caught up in your own agenda that you can't hear. So anyway, thank you, Nurse Kayla, for that comment. Angela Hill says, we've got to start somewhere. Everything is not going to be solved in a march. Choose your issue and fight for it, but don't put down anyone who chooses to do something besides sit on the sidelines. Just my thoughts. Angela Hill, again, racism is not my issue. It's white people's issue to fix, not ours, okay? And keep in mind, the one thing that you said that was correct is that it's not going to be solved in a march. That's the only thing you said that was correct. You're right. It's not going to be solved in a march. So if you all learn that the way to get to people is to hit them in their pockets, when you all learn that, that's when you will make change. That's when you will make change that will last. Everybody knows that who has some intelligence knows the way to get people to do things is to hit them in their pockets. But y'all haven't learned that yet because you're so gullible and foolish. You're a simpleton. So I understand your thoughts. Choose your issue and fight for it, but don't put anyone down. I have not put anyone down. I said what my thoughts were, Angela Hill. You are gaslighting and deflecting. Again, I didn't tell anybody what you. I said these are my thoughts. If you watch the video said to do what you want to do, but this is what I'm going to do. You all are some of the most ignorant people that I have ever seen, and you all call yourselves nurses. That goes to show you they gave degrees to some of just anybody, okay? That means that you got the education, but you lack intellect. Choose your issue and fight for it. I am Angela Hill. I am. And sometimes fighting does not mean to go and march. There's different ways to fight, as you say. And for me to draw attention to racists and people who stand alongside of the racists, which that seems to be what you're doing. So again, I'm not calling you a racist, but if you are not going to denounce racism and fix that problem that white people created, then you are part of the problem, Angela Hill. You are. So either you ally with we're going to end this in nursing or work on it at least, or you're going to side with the racists. There's no in between. Talking about whenever everything's going to be solved in a march. We know that already. See, people who are smart know that. I am fighting for my issue. You need to learn. You choose your issue and fight. Don't put anyone down. You are so stupid. Stupid, okay? How about accountability? How about that? Also, remember, y'all, do you honestly think that you can come to I let you all make these comments. Keep in mind, the power is mine, not yours. So I will expose you on here, on this platform, and I will expose you on TikTok as well so people can see that when they're dealing with you, they'll know what kind of nurse you are. You all need to be more careful about what you put on these forums. I am going to expose racists for who they are. And if you have a good hospital or employer, he or she's not going to stand for that because they don't want to align with people like that. Now, they may be them themselves, but they want to align with it. They'll throw you on the bus first. So, Angela Hill, you've been warned. So, Goldie says, Goldie Leon, I agree with you with what you said, but nurses can focus on multiple issues at the same time. Of course, Goldie, that's what we said. See, y'all don't listen. That's exactly what we said. I never said go in there and only address racism. I never said that, Goldie. What I said was add this to the agenda. Let's go be all inclusive is what I said, Goldie. But again, you must have missed that. That must have went over your head somewhere. But I already said that in the video. But thank you anyway for commenting. Myra O says, bullying and racism is prevalent in nursing. It's not so much overt and in the open, but it's always, and that's in capital letters, the microaggressive behavior. Glad you brought this up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, the people who are, get this though, the people who are actually understanding this are the people who have dealt with it, okay? So again, all you people with the caucasity that you have, now mind you, there are many people who are Caucasian who understand because they have matured in that way to be allies to the BIPOC community. I'm not talking about you because the thing is, you will go. I have had plenty of people on TikTok who went and said, you know what, I'm going to go, but I'm going to go fight that issue. We're going to talk about racism. We're going to do this, that, and the other. You go ahead. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I never said not to go. I said to be inclusive. And again, people with people a little slow don't understand that because you all are thinking about your own initiatives. You could care less about humanity. You care less about the patients. You could care less about the BIPOC nurses. And that shows in these comments. And I'm exposing it all. Anyway, so I appreciate you, Myra, because you're the one who, you and some of the other ones are actually, understanding the premise behind the video. It never said that you can't do what you wanted to do. Y'all are some ignorant people. That's what y'all do when y'all like to deflect, when it's about you. Selfish. Nurse Betty says, how fitting, there's an agenda. It's for violence against nurses, mandating safe patient-nurse ratios, and stopping the cap of nurse wages. Nurse Betty Einstein, I know what the agenda is, and now we can add racism to that, Nurse Betty. So again, mission accomplished. So what you can do is mind the business that pays you, Nurse Betty, because you obviously at Nurse Betty don't know what you're talking about. I already knew that because I mentioned that in the video. Why are y'all repeating the same stuff that I said already in the video? That tells me that you all don't listen. You watch things to respond or to react, shall I say, not to respond, to react. You listen to react, not to respond. And that shows low emotional intelligence when you do that. When you have the ability to listen to respond, that means you take in what people say, you process it, choose your words carefully, then respond. You all don't know how to do that because you're putting stuff that I already said in the video. So Nurse Betty, thank you for pointing out what we already knew because it was already established in the video. Have a good day, Nurse Betty. Meredith says, hopefully this march will bring nurses together and be the key to ending internal issues in the profession. Well, Meredith, if the issues in the profession are not addressed, how are we going to end them? But first and foremost, we need to stand together or the government will take everything away that we fought so hard for. What, Meredith, have you fought hard for? What have you fought hard for, Meredith? This is when we put our differences aside and start taking care of each other. No, Meredith, it starts when you all address the issues that we have in nursing, such as racism, and fix that first. We cannot go stand united when we're divided in private. I will not stand alongside you in that. Just know that racism is a part of now the agenda, though. So with that being said, Meredith, you all still paint the picture of supremacy, that our needs come last and your needs come first. That's what supremacists do. They put people down just as you do and simply say you just have a nice dressed up way of saying it. You're not overtly mean or rude in this comment. And that's how you fool people like that. But you know what? I can see past your BS. You basically want us to stand for your agenda, but you have nothing to do with ours. That's what you're saying, Meredith Fox. So we can't end anything until we address the issues. And again, you are actually speaking in circles here. You want us to address all the issues but ours. And that's not how that works. When we stand divided is when you take a look at yourself and see what is it that I'm doing that contributes to the racism in nursing or these other issues such as bullying in nursing. If that is you, when you look at yourself and say, this is what I'm contributing to, let me address my own biases and fix them. That is when we will start coming together. When you all decide that you're going to address your issues when it comes to bullying and racism. And bullying can happen to anybody. That's not a race issue. That can happen to anybody. But until we start examining our own biases in terms of racism, which is what I'm speaking on, then you have nothing to say. You have absolutely nothing to say. No, I'm not going to stand with you. We're not going to stand alongside. People with sense will not stand alongside you when you are telling us that we need to wait our turn, basically, and stand together for your cause. That's ignorant right there. And I will not justify your ignorance by doing so. Uma Lee says, skin bleaching and gone with the wind hair discredits everything you say. Well, Uma Lee, I don't skin bleach, okay? I'm naturally beautiful already with my melanin caramel colored skin, so I have no need to do that. And my gone with the wind hair, guess what? I'm gonna wear what I want to wear. And what you gonna do about it, Uma Lee? Nothing. So if that's all you can do to try to discredit me or to draw attention is to try to attack something what I look like, that shows Uma Lee that you're the problem. You're the problem. Because otherwise, why would you care what my skin looks like or my hair if it's mine or not? I've worn my natural hair on here. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with my beautiful skin. You must be jealous of that. And the hair that naturally grows up my head or the hair that I choose to purchase to put on my head, that's my business. So I suggest you mind yours, Uma Lee, and worry about somebody taking care of you in that hospital when you get sick. That's what you need to worry about. Maria Perez says, no, I've never understood the glorification of Florence Nightingale and was the only one in class that questioned why we are modeling after someone who was clearly racist. I was the one with the unpopular opinion at the time, and I'm so relieved to know 18 years later that I wasn't alone in how I felt. Thank you. Maria Perez, thank you for even acknowledging it. Thank you for even acknowledging the fact that we do have these issues. And again, you don't have to believe what I say. Go look at the history. And again, some of you too lazy to go do that. You don't know what your own history is. And the ones of you who are willfully ignorant, you can remain that way. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. You don't hurt nobody but yourself when you do that, and your children when you do that. You don't hurt me. Because the thing is, we going to make our money. When you up here worried about something like that, I'm going to make my money regardless. That's what y'all don't understand. Y'all worried about the government capping y'all's money, but we're going to make our money regardless. Because nurses, women, especially BIPOC women, we know how to hustle and make our money. We not worried about stuff like this. Because people going to sit there and just go to another job, okay? So anyway, like I said, y'all think them white congressmen worried about y'all? They not. Okay, they not. Maria Perez, I want to thank you so much for this comment. And on this note, we're going to end this video here. We're going to always end it on a good note. And I want to thank you for watching this video in its entirety. Stay tuned for part 2, where we address the simpletons in the room, the ones who lack intellect, as we have been noticing, the ones who are actually white supremacists and racists. We're going to call them out. And guess what? I'm going to go ahead and screenshot these because I know what they're going to try to do. And we are going to create change. So when you all say, what am I doing to help combat racism? Again, racism to be combated is not my problem to do or to fix. That is your problem to fix if you happen to be Caucasian. What I'm doing to help it is by calling you out. So I'm doing my part. So thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned for part 2. Have a good day.